really and truly, mindset is the most important thing. And I know that there are a lot of people that teach on mindset, but it's so much more than cliche quotes and sayings.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Entrepreneurship Xposed with your guy Beez, where we are exposing everything that you need to know if you're trying to become an entrepreneur, right? There's a lot of glitz and there's a lot of glam. People show their Lamborghinis. You saw that little mansion that was in the intro just now. But there are, there's the real side of things, all right? And that's what we expose and discover and explore on this podcast. But today's episode is going to be extra fun because we have someone that is fun to know, right? We have Miss Sarah Fontenot, right? Well, we're going to talk about and expose the mindset of an entrepreneur, because belief in action is something that you have to see to believe. Yes. Right? So, Sarah, welcome to Entrepreneurship Xposed. I'm so happy to have you here today.
I'm so honored and excited to be here. And also, can I just say, Beez, I love what you're doing. I love how you are out here impacting, changing lives, making a difference, helping people make money and literally build generational wealth. So it's an honor and a privilege for me to be on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I mean, it's funny, you and I just met recently and immediately hit it off. It was like great conversation, great energy, great vibe, and like this era of genuineness, right? Like we're very genuine people between the two of us. And I love what you've been doing. I love your energy. I love your vibe. I love how you I think you're the best host in the world, as I got to witness. But go ahead and introduce yourself and let the audience know more about you.
Okay, awesome. What's up, y'all? My name is Sarah Fontenot, and I feel like who I am is very different from what I do. But to tell you a little bit about my accolades, and then I'll get more into the who, because I really feel like that's more important. But I'm from a small town, Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, and
I've been there.
Yes, hey! And I moved from Regina, Saskatchewan to Los Angeles at 20 years old to pursue acting. So I'm a cliche. Let's get that out the way. And I'm grateful because it was being in Los Angeles where I slipped and fell into entrepreneurship. And what's wild is, a lot of the times, and we talked about this before, Beez, we hear parents and our siblings and our cousins and our aunties and our uncles were literally duped from our childhood because people are always asking us, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, what is great, but what is connected to achievement, whereas who is connected to fulfillment? And so a lot of us as people, we're out here looking for what we're supposed to do, what we're supposed to become, and we're looking for the label, but we forget about its contents, right? And so for me, I didn't even know what entrepreneurship was. I thought that the only way to be successful was doctor, lawyer, engineer, or entertainment. I knew I could not be a doctor. Blood makes me queasy. Dear future husband, when we had kids, look, baby sick. You're not baby, but like toddler sick. I'm sick. We both sick. We out, right? I have a weak stomach. Doctor was out. My mom's an engineer, so I knew I didn't want to be an engineer. I was like, I have some very high key debating skills. I could definitely be a lawyer, but then I counted the costs, right? I went to see what did I have to do in order to become a lawyer. And I am not interested in learning about things I'm just not interested in. And so I was like, entertainment. I love to sing, act, and dance. And so that's what brought me to Los Angeles. And then I realized I slipped and fell into multi-level marketing, where I built up the top 1.6% of the company. And I took the tools, the lessons, all of those things. I started doing high ticket one-on-one coaching. I got it. I have a mindset motivation t-shirt line. I'm an international speaker. I got into investing, a lot of really cool things. None of that really means anything. I mean, I got the courses, I have the audiobooks, all of those things are great. But I think the most beautiful achievement that I have is what you see is truly what you get.
All right, guys, before we get into the full episode of Entrepreneurship Exposed, I just want to take a moment to thank you all for supporting this channel. This channel means so much to me. You all mean so much to me because this information is the type of things that I wish that I knew when I was like 17 years old, right? We're talking about wealth creation strategies, not plays. Never talking about, hey, we could run this quick play to make some quick money. This is all about sustainable strategies that won't go anywhere. Whatever else you may be doing, this information will supplement it and help you take it to a whole nother level. So what I would love to ask each and every one of you is if you could like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, do all of that for me. It supports the channel, it helps us to grow, helps us to get this information out to more people so that we could change more lives. So thank you again for supporting. Make sure that whatever you see in here, whatever you learn in here, that you go and execute on it. And then drop a comment and let me know how it went out for you. Hopefully I'll even see you in the BBI where I teach how to acquire businesses and everything about entrepreneurship. Let's go.
If I'm wrecked one day, I'm wrecked out here. You know, like there's no facade with me. And I mean, yes, okay, I wear makeup and I love all the things. That's about as facade as I get. But my core is really like what you see is what you get. And so, you know, I'm much more focused on the who I am rather than what I do. And I feel like that's why the what I do is in alignment with who I am. And so life feels good. It feels purposeful, you know?
Yes. So we got to dig in on that a little bit too, because I say to people a lot that, I'll tell a story of whenever I go on a plane and I sit down next to someone and I'm always in first class now. So when I sit down and then they're like, oh, so what do you do? And that's like the common way that people, engage with each other. What do you do? Like that defines everything. What do you do defines everything I need to know about to start off this conversation. So I told people that when you respond, so when someone says, what do you do? And then you respond with, oh, I'm CEO of blah, blah, blah. That's not what you do. That's your position. That's your title, right? Yes. But you could elaborate better, and you could say, well, I help Fortune 500 companies to refine their processes and systems to be more efficient so that they can scale quicker and ultimately have an exit. Yeah. Okay, that's a little bit more of what you do in your career overall, but it still doesn't define who you are. Right. And I love to start with the fact that my real name is Bjorn. It's a Swedish name, and I'm a Jamaican guy with a Swedish name that speaks Mandarin, Chinese, and a little bit of Japanese. And when they start hearing that, they're like, "Wait, what?" like it's just that's more of who I am. You and I had a conversation, and I told you a little bit about my tattoos, right?
Yes.
And believe it or not, this also describes who I am, because when I go into depth about the things of why I chose these tattoos, then you know more about who I truly am and the things that I like, right? So how do you convey that to people if somebody asks you, who you are? What defines Sarah Fontenot?
Well, nothing defines Sarah Fontenot because she's always evolving, right? And so I am one of the types of people where I'm like, don't put me in a box. Even with food, I don't eat meat. I haven't had red meat, pork, lamb. I haven't had any of that in literally over a decade. Most recently, and so people would say, oh, you're a pescatarian. And I'm like, I'm a selectitarian. I eat what I want to eat. And if you put me in a box, now that means if I change my mind and I want to do that, then that wrongs me. You don't get to put me in a box. Right. And most recently I stopped eating fish. So now people want to say, oh, you're a vegan, you're a vegetarian. No, I'm a selectitarian. I do what I want and honor how my body feels. Right. And so for me, there's a lot of things that I do. I help people get out of their own way mentally and emotionally so they can create a life and business they love. That's what I love to do. But who I am is a free, loving, giving. I'm a spirit. I'm here. I'm God's. I just get to be here. And I think that one of the superpowers is really having the ability to be where your feet are. Because the second that you change what you're doing, who you're being also shifts.
Ooh, yes, yes, yes. So true, so true. I love that. I love that. So let's start it off right now, right? So we're talking about Entrepreneur Mindset Xposed. I'm gonna tell you the truth. The truth is, I was never a fan of people like Tony Robbins, right? And why is that? Because I don't know, maybe because I'm a Capricorn. I don't know if it's what it may be, but for me, Tony Robbins was like, you can do it. Yes, if you believe, you can achieve and all of that. And I used to be like, listen, man, how? I need to know, give me the ways to do it. I know I can do it. So I knew that I had the motivation. I knew I wanted more for myself. I just didn't know how to get it because I had nobody around me telling me or teaching me or showing me what to do. Right. But as I went deeper into my entrepreneurial journey, I realized the importance of mindset, not just from my perspective, but as I would speak to people. For example, you know right now that what I do is I buy businesses. Right. $0 out of my pocket. Right. When I tell people that, they're like, wow, that's above me. Immediately, that's the wrong mindset. Right? So what is it that people should know about mindset and the importance to it? And, how have you seen that, really shape a person's journey, especially in the entrepreneur landscape?
Yeah, I feel like really and truly, mindset is the most important thing. And I know that there are a lot of people that teach on mindset, but it's so much more than cliche quotes and sayings, right? Like it's actually mindset it's in action. And so I think that a lot of people we hear all the time and they say, you've got to believe in yourself, but how? And I think back to over 10 years ago when I was struggling to pay my rent, when I was calling my mom every month, asking her to help me put gas in my car and pay my rent, when I was choosing between putting gas in my car, food in my fridge, or scrounging up the change that I could find in my car, putting $3 on pump 5. So I feel like for the newest person, and I'm always talking to the newest person, if you're a newer entrepreneur or you don't know how to build that business yet, we have to understand as entrepreneurs that you cannot drift to the top of the mountain being success. You have to intentionally climb. Now, even if you're like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, it's still hard. It's still a challenge. It's still going to push you past every limit. Like imagine those people that are climbing Mount Everest, right? When they reach the top of the summit, they literally could have lost their lives. And a lot of times, I'm just going to take it to the left a little bit here, but a lot of the times what we, especially us as women, because we have more attachment most times than men do, but entrepreneurs, period, we have attachment to the people inside of our lives coming with us on this journey up Mount Everest, that mountain to success. And what we'll do is, sometimes when you look at the people, whether they're excited or not, there's a level of mental, physical, spiritual conditioning that has to happen first before you make that climb. And so if you don't do that conditioning first, number one, you'll probably die up your way on the mountain. But the people that love you the most, sometimes they support you the least. And it is not because you're incapable. It is not because they don't believe in us. It's not because of those things, because they're trying to keep us safe in who we are instead of seeing us for who we can be. It's scary to say, yeah, you could lose your life climbing Mount Everest, but go do it. Like that's terrifying to say. Right. And that's what entrepreneurship is. And so when it comes to your friends and your family members, even if they're like, I want to go with you. I want to like, there's this book. Okay, Beez, I got to tell you, I'm an avid reader. Right. And there's a really great book. It's actually a relationship book. It's called The Sacred Search. I feel like whether it's platonic or romantic relationships or relationships. Right. And in the book, the author talks about how he's climbed Mount Everest before several times. And he says, if a 300-pound, unhealthy, out of shape man came to me and said, I want to climb Mount Everest. I am so ready to climb Mount Everest. I got the equipment. I have the tools. I have the mindset. I am ready. Right? The author says, I would respectfully decline, because not only is that man going to die on his way up the mountain, but he'll probably kill you off on the way because he's not prepared enough for the both of you. And
Yes.
so we have to sometimes look at our family and our friends that way, where they're those people, instead of putting 300-pound energy on our back and trying to climb something that's already damn near impossible, you can go and leave a blueprint and they can do it for themselves. And so I think that as entrepreneurs, when it comes to establishing a mindset, number one, belief is an action. And I have a way that I break down belief, and we can get to that now or later, whichever you prefer. But really and truly, it's so important for entrepreneurs to know that this is an upward climb, that it is a challenge, but it is worth it. And it's going to test you in ways that you never even thought you'd be tested, that you didn't even know were out there, because you have to face yourself.
Yes.
That's the hardest part.
Yes. Listen, you said so many things just now that I'm like, damn, I want to respond to that. It's like, so it was awesome. Now, here's the first thing I'm going to say is that, how do you, okay, in that same example, that same analogy, 300-pound man comes, he wants to climb Mount Everest. Let's say I am that 300-pound man wanting to be an entrepreneur. And I come and I tell my brother, I want to climb Mount Everest. I want to be an entrepreneur. And then he says, nah, I don't think you could do it.
Right.
Is that, how do I get past that? Because he could be truly realistic and saying, nah, but you're not prepared for it. I don't think you're prepared for it because you're 300 pounds and you might not be able to make it.
Right.
Or you could just be a pessimist, like, nah, you can't do it because I know I can't do it. So I'm assuming you can't do it either.
Right.
So how do I discern between, is that legitimate, advice versus someone who's just trying to hold me down?
Right. So that's where it comes to belief, right? The thing about it is, if you are the 300-pound person in that metaphorical example, right? That theoretical example, if that's you and you're not prepared yet, how do you change that? You start getting prepared. You start doing the conditioning. And so you get in the gym, and I'm not talking about the physical gym. I'm talking about the mental gym, the spiritual gym, the physical gym. You get into the gym where you are in a space where when other people tell you, you know what, that's not for you, because that's what all of our family said. My mom told me, baby, get a job. And she's my superhero. She's literally my biggest role model and icon in my life. And she's like, you shouldn't do that. Go get a job, because they're trying to keep us safe. So how do we do that? Number one, belief for me is an action word. And it breaks down into 5 really simple steps. Number one, a repetitious thought creates your awareness, creates your evaluation, creates your action, creates your progress. What does that mean? It means the more that you think about something again and again and again and again and again, you're actually creating a neurological pathway inside of your brain. And I'm not going to get too scientific. I'm going to use an analogy because I'm a big analogy person. So I always say, if you were to run through a cornfield one time, would anyone know that I ran through the cornfield? No. No way, right? No one would know. But if I were to drive through a cornfield, would someone know that I drove through the cornfield? Absolutely. They'd be like, okay, something's happening here. But over time, corn would start to grow back in that same space. But if I were to drive through a cornfield on that same path, again and again and again and again and again, not only would someone be like, okay, someone's been in the cornfield, but actually corn wouldn't grow there any longer. So our thought process makes it the same way. That's why they say, put the pictures on your wall, change the packs of your phones. When you want that car and you start to see it everywhere, the reason why is because you're creating the cornfield inside of your brain where you're driving that thought again and again and again and again and again, so that now it's at the forefront of your mind. Oh, someone's been here in the cornfield, but corn doesn't go there any longer, which means it's harder for fears and doubts and opinions and judgments to grow there any longer, right? So when you have that repetitious thought, what you're actually doing is creating awareness. So let's say, as an example, we have our whole life, Beez, we've only ever seen a map of the United States. Like, we went to school and I know you're from Jamaica, but they've only ever taught us, and I'm from Canada, right? But they've only ever taught us about a map of the United States, right? Yeah. Only ever taught us that. And then you get around different people, different entrepreneurs, different successful people, people that love themselves, people that are talking about who are you, not what you do, that are talking about fulfillment and purpose. That's like saying Japan. right? So we're used to map of the United States, go to your job, work for 40 years, retire after 40 years, all of those, that is a map of the United States. And now all of a sudden someone is like, Japan. Well, first thought, if we've only ever heard about the United States, is that's not real, right? Initially. But if you get around the exposure of the people that are showing you, oh no, get around Beez, who's buying businesses left and right, changing lives, helping other people do the same. Japan, right? Now we start to say, okay, this is what I know. My awareness has expanded. I'm here in Los Angeles. I want to get to Japan. I know there's a massive body of water. I know that there's a lot of land to cover. Now, this is the thing. I don't know what each person's journey looks like. It's always different. Maybe you're the person that has to freaking, what's it called? Hitchhike. Maybe you're the person that knows someone that has a private jet. Maybe you're the person that has the paddle boat or pogo stick. I don't know what each person's journey looks like, but when you can evaluate, this is where I want to go, but this is where I'm starting. Now you can get into action. Action is going to give you a newer and higher level of awareness, which then is going to give you of progress, which then is going to give you a newer and higher level of belief. And so it's the same as when you know the big goal. Like if your goal, let's say, is to make $100,000 a year, we know it's $8,333 a month. Now, disclaimer, time out. Here we go. Side note. I've heard so many people say that $833 a month is $274 a day. And I've also heard it said it's $277 a day. So it's somewhere between $274 and $277 a day. How many exposures do you need in order to consistently make $270 a day to get to that state and to focus on the small goal? Because the big goal is scary. Beez, when I couldn't pay my rent and my lights were shut off and people are saying things from the stage like, you gotta be the light. I'm actually feeling real dark right now because my lights are cut off at the house and I can't even afford to be at this event. So, whatever that may be, sometimes you have to focus on what do you need to do next? Not what do you need to do, the big goal. You know the big goal, you reverse engineered it, you bite-sized it. What are the next 5 most important, most urgent steps that are the income producing activities that are going to get you into a space where you are in a space where you're getting that conditioning, where you are in a space where you are getting conditioned so that you're able to go to the bottom of Mount Everest and climb to the top.
Yes. I love that. Listen, this is probably one of the deepest episodes that we've had. I love there's so much things that I want to respond to on that. I would say that from what I gathered from what you just described, it seems to me like the most important first step is being honest with yourself.
Yes.
Right. So let's go back to the 300-pound man trying to scale Mount Everest. The fact that the 300-pound man heard that feedback from the brother, right? And then said, is this person just trying to hold me down, or do they have a legitimate, point? Let me be honest with myself. Yeah, 300 pounds. I don't know if I could. I'd be breathing hard when I walk down the block. I don't know if I could climb this. Let me be honest with myself that I got to go and exercise a little bit, exercise my mind in the case of an entrepreneur, and surround myself with the right people and start getting some cash flow first, because if I don't have that cash flow now, I'm gonna be on the streets in 20 days. So maybe I don't leave my job just yet. Maybe I start working on the side. I got my 9 to 5, but I'm gonna grind 6 to midnight in order to get some cash flow going, and then I leave my job. So that honesty seems to be like the first step that you need to take before you then progress and execute on your beliefs. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, I would agree with that. I think that it goes back into, like they always say, everyone's like, how you got to put where you're going in the GPS. Okay, but you have to know your starting point. Yes. If you were to tell Uber, pick me up, and you don't say where you're at to start the trip, you can't go anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So I think that is absolutely so key and mandatory to knowing where you want to go. And I will say this, Beez, because I feel like sometimes in knowing where we want to go and looking at the big goal, and we hear people say like, you got to affirm, right? Affirm, I am whatever it is. Like, I am a 6-figure earner. Again, we don't, first and foremost, I think it's important for most people to know when it comes to manifesting the life of your dreams, the career of your dreams, the person of your dreams, the family of your dreams come through feeling. What we attract is what we feel strongest about. That's why when you see those people that are talking about, oh, I'm so tired, I'm exhausted, I'm sick of this, I can't stand my kids, I can't stand my spouse. Oftentimes, those people are saying the same things every single day, and they feel it passionately. Like, I can see that you're tired. I can feel that you are stressed. I can't even really be around those people because you're going to mess with my vibration. Right. Yeah. And so when it's that level of thing, instead of saying, I am big goal, reverse engineer it. It goes back to that $277 a day. Instead of saying, I am, start saying, I am becoming the kind of person who. I am becoming the kind of person who can be consistent with exposing my product to X amount of people every single day. And even if that's 3, it's okay, right? I am becoming the kind of person who can keep promises to themselves. I am becoming the kind of person who is not going to be thrown off by rejection. I am becoming the kind of person who, and what happens is you start to become that person. Because you know the next 5 most urgent, most important income producing activities that you can start on. And when you do those things over time consistently, it's like money. It compounds with interest. And so the next thing you know, you might look up and maybe you're the Chinese bamboo tree. You got to water it 5 years every single day. If you miss a day, it dies. But if you water it for 5 years every day, in 6 weeks, it grows 90 feet. Maybe that's your story. Or maybe you're the person that hits it off in a year, but you know what? 5 to 10 years to hit 7 figures, that's fast in success. Because most people will work 40 years and struggle the entire 40. Yeah. Entire to struggle, 100%. So I think that yes, it is very important to remember your starting point, and it is very important to be honest with yourself and to know that, we've got to do the work on self. And that's why I think a lot of entrepreneurs get it a little twisted out here, because they think what they are seeking is the strategy and the tools, and you need those things. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But my experience with working with people is most people have gone to YouTube University. They've Googled their lives away. They've taken the courses. They've joined the masterminds. They've read the books. They've done all the things, but they still haven't started. And most of the time, it's not strategy. It's worthiness. It's self-love. It's belief. So you got to get out of your own way first, and then go into a space where you can start, grow, and scale a business or buy a business. Yes.
That's the root of analysis paralysis, right? That's where, it's they're hey, I gotta get all this information, but they just won't get started, right? Yeah. Now, it's so funny. What you're describing, I see that as the foundation of so much more, because even in my corporate career, right? So I had a great corporate career. My last job, I was working at Microsoft. Before that was Accenture, a smaller consulting firm named Quinn. And I have a ton of certifications, right? My career was about going into Fortune 500 companies to improve them, process systems, people, scale them, etc. So I have certifications like Lean IT. I'm a Lean Six Sigma black belt, something called ITIL, which I'm an ITIL expert. All of these things are all about best practices for how to do continuous improvement, right? Removing waste from process, etc. And the key concept in all of those things, industry standards in corporate America, is small step improvements.
Yes.
Right? So you could have your 1 year, 5 year big goal. Yes. But then you need to focus on the month goal that's going to lead you to the quarter, that leads you to that year, to then eventually to the 5 years. And that small step goal is going to also help keep the momentum going, because once you achieve it, it's like, okay, cool, I'm making progress. And now you go on to the next, which is still just another small step of the larger picture. Right? So what you're describing, it's not just in entrepreneurship, it's in life, it's overall. These are concepts that everybody could utilize, no matter in what realm. So I really love that. And I have to say one other thing is, when you're talking about mindset, you had me thinking of another thing that I tell people. I went to college, and most of us go to college for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, whatever it may be, and be broke during that time. Well, I was broke. I don't know. Maybe not everybody. Broke. I was the ramen noodle king, right? I made ramen noodles and all types of different. So, but we could do it. Go to college, be broke for that entire time, for the chance at a middle class income. But yet, if we start as an entrepreneur, start our business 2-3 months in, and it's like, oh, I ain't making no money, I'm done with this. Mindset again. It's the same concept. It's the same things you're doing, but you were willing to survive it in college, I believe, because you saw other people doing it. You may not have seen other entrepreneurs, that their journey. You just saw them when they're successful. But when you see their journey, you haven't seen the journey. So you're like, oh yeah, that's too difficult. I don't see nobody else doing this. I can't manage it. Right. So do you, I think you kind of alluded to that too, but do you feel that that's also a major thing? Seeing these things in action, being around the people who are executing on it in order to give you that belief of that you can achieve it as well.
Yes. And I'm so grateful, personal story here. I'm so grateful that God chose my parents for me, because, and literally my parents have been my best teachers, like on the planet. I listen, I've learned, look, Jim Rohn has been my mentor. He just doesn't know it. Tony Robbins, Lisa Nichols, Eric Thomas. I mean, so many different people, they've all been my mentors, right? Like I've had so many mentors inside of my life, but my parents, I learned inside of who they're being, how to be a certain way. And I say that because when I first started inside of entrepreneurship and I was struggling, right? I used to have a car that would squeak on every block. It was like, like you literally heard me coming from way down the street. I hated that car. I used to curse that car. The gas gauge pointed downward. The air conditioning didn't work, and I live in LA. It was a Canadian car, so I had to count kilometers. I was always running out of gas on the freeway. It was awful, right? And my car that I was cursing, side note, make sure that you're watching what you're cursing inside of your life, right? Because as easy as it's given, it can be taken away. But that car that I was cursing crashed itself on the freeway. And at the time, don't ask me no questions. That's just how it happened. Yes, I was driving. End of story. Okay, so I lived in Hollywood, California, and my mentor lived in worked in Torrance, California. And 5 to 6 days a week, I was driving to my mentor. This is while I'm struggling with everything, right? This is while I'm struggling to even put gas in my car, and I'm driving 45 minutes each way, which was a struggle for me to try to figure it out, right? Yeah. And so when my car crashed itself, I had a choice. I got to say, maybe this is God saying, this just isn't for me, like a lot of people say. Maybe this is God saying, you know what, this is for them over there. I'm never going to make it. I'm never going to be good at this. This is the sign I've been waiting for to say that this is not it. Or maybe this is God saying, how bad do you really want it?
Ooh.
And so that was such a perception shift for me that I didn't even know that I had when I was struggling, because the person that introduced me to my first entrepreneurial endeavor, she was set. She didn't need anything. Her life, she didn't pay her bills. She had a great life, right? And I'm over here like, if I could just buy one thing for myself, like when I had those F-it days, I'd be like, I'm buying myself something, and it'd be $20 and that would wreck my budget, like real talk. So anyway, I say that to say that I had a choice. I started taking 2 buses and a train, 2.5 hours one way, 3 hours ride back to my mentor, because success doesn't come to us. We have to go to it. And what I knew was my mentor didn't want my life. Why would he come to me? Why would I feel entitled to the fact that he's supposed to come pick me up? Why would I feel like anyone owes me that? Success is earned. It's not given, right? And so I started taking 2 buses and a train every time. And one of those days I got robbed at the bus stop for all of the money that I had. And though $200 does not seem like a lot of money until that's all you need to pay the rent, right? And so I remember my friend who introduced me to the opportunity, who was like, you know, whatever it may be, she used to say to me all the time, Sarah, it's not supposed to be this hard. Sarah, you're not supposed to struggle like this. Sarah, you could be doing anything else. And we have to make sure that we get around the people that pull the champion out of us and not the people that pacify us. Because the truth is, it is hard. But I need to hear from the person that's saying, Sarah, this is hard, but what's the exit strategy? This is hard, but this is not where we end. This is hard, but we got to do something different. Like we got to make this work, right? Yes. And so for me, it like literally the environment of people, just it gives you that boost in yourself if you don't have it in yourself. So for me, what I used to say and I didn't know was, this is all a part of my story. I used to feed everything through 5 life mantras. This is all a part of my story. Things go wrong so that my life can go right. Good, all things are happening for my good, even the bad. I was built for this, right? And so I had these things that I would say all the time inside of my mind. And I didn't know at the time that because my perspective was, this is all a part of my story. I was built for this. Nothing can stop me but death. Like literally, I was like, oh, okay, it's time for me to level up. It's time for me to get better, wiser, stronger, faster. It's time, like the devil is coming for me because God is saying, how bad do I really want it? And I'm going to show you how bad I want it. So it was never a victim mentality. I was a victor just in a crazy circumstance and situation, but I always knew I was a winner. I always knew that. And we got to know that for ourselves. And if you don't know for yourself, new people that are listening, newer in entrepreneurship, haven't found that business yet to buy, haven't figured entrepreneurship out. Number 1, I want you to know it does not matter where you start. But number 2, if you don't believe in yourself, you better get around people that believe in you, because you got to have a champion mindset in you. And and the people around you have to foster it so it comes out of you.
Yes. You are hitting my pillars of success. Right? The first one being the networking. You have to network. You got to get the biggest deals, and 10x of my businesses that I've ever experienced came from some sort of networking event or something that happened right, prior to it. The second one is that you have to leave some people behind. Actively leave them behind. I heard Snoop Dogg, he did it was like a video on Instagram or something, and he said that a lot of times, we start right around here with our peers, our family and whatnot, and we want more. So select few of us want more, and we're trying to figure out how to get more. So the gap between us is like right here is really close. But then as we start to rise, the gap widens, right? Yeah. And what ends up happening too often is that we say, okay, I want to help my people down here too. So then we come back down to come help them. But no, what we got to do, not every one of them wants or will be able to be helped. So you got to show the path, the way to climbing that mountain again, as we were talking. I'm not going to pull you up, but I'm going to show you where to step.
Yes.
So you got a way, you got a path. Now it's up to you to close the gap by coming up so that we continue to level up instead of me coming back down and it's sabotaging my progress. Right. Yeah. So, oh man, this okay. We got to go into pop. It's time to pop this entrepreneur mindset because there's so much to talk about it. Right. Okay. So I want you to tell me, what are the pros of having that right mindset? What do you think, it really helps you to achieve overall?
I think overall, the pros to a mindset is when you have, so 2 things. I feel like God honors an unwavering heart. I feel like the universe, God, source, whatever people want to call it, obstacles start jumping out of your way when you feel like, when you move in expectation. And when you move with like, this is supposed to happen for me. Like people receive you differently, and not from a space of arrogance, but from a place of confidence. And I think it's important to know that confidence is a muscle. You have to build it, right? Belief is a muscle. You have to build it. I haven't always been this super confident. I believe, like, there's certain things you can't tell me certain things don't work. I'm incorruptible at this point. I don't do anything I don't want to do, period. There's no amount of money that can get me to do something I don't want to do. Now, if I want to do it, there's no amount of money that could convince me to do otherwise. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like when you move in expectation, when you move with a mindset, the person that is the most certain will always win. Like, if you ever watch people in conversations, like, and not in romantic, because I don't feel like that makes any sense to just be like, two bullheaded people going at each other. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about inside of just normal conversations when someone is like, they could literally be dead wrong, but they are so certain about it. Everyone's like, oh yeah. I've had people saying fake words before. I used to be like, yeah, legitly, instead of saying legitimately. That was like my cute way of being like, yeah, this is legitly my life. Like, everyone thought it was a real word because I definitely like, yo, I just need y'all to know, I know this isn't real, but do y'all know this isn't real? Like, whoever is most certain will always win. And so it's a pro, because when you're certain and going in a direction that's filled with purpose, that's filled with love, that's filled with compassion and impact and influence and a difference and access, when you are that person and you're moving in that kind of certainty, people want to follow you. And you're actually giving them something really powerful to follow. So the pro is the level of platform and the level of influence that you create by being your best you, you know?
Yes. I love that. And I just had a conversation with Rosetta. You know Rosetta, right?
I don't know.
Rosetta, the attorney in Cali.
Okay.
Anyway, so
I talked about her before.
Yeah. So I just had a conversation with her a few hours ago, and I was mentioning how growing up, I used to always hear that the only way to be successful in business is to be an asshole. And I used to be like, what? Really? And then they would talk about people, and it would show some really good examples.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs. People love Steve Jobs, but he was an asshole to his employees.
Yeah.
Right? So I said to myself, nah, that's not me. Right?
No.
If I hold the door open for a woman and she walks through with a scowl face and pissed off, and I'm like, damn, she didn't even say thank you, I'm not gonna not hold the next door open for someone. I'm gonna continue living my true self and not let someone affect me, right? So I feel that in business, just like you're saying, with that confidence, you have to stick to who you truly are, for sure, in order to achieve what you want. And don't let nobody, steer you wrong just because they're showing, oh, someone else achieved it this way.
Right.
You're following a strategy, but you're who you are in your soul, in your core. You got to keep consistent. Right?
Yeah,
and be honest with yourself again.
And I think it's important for people to know, because there are people that become little cookie cutters of who they see on Instagram and social media platforms. And it's like, no, you don't duplicate the person. You duplicate their systems and be your own person.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so next is opportunities. So we did the pros. What are the opportunities that you see existing that are coming into play more and more and more, as long as you have the right mindset, the entrepreneurial mindset?
Well, when you walk in a space of expectation, and you walk in a space of I'm supposed to be here, people believe you. So whatever room, now you're getting opportunities to be in rooms with higher level people, and they believe that you're supposed to be there. And different opportunities, and sometimes more elevated, I don't want to say better, but more elevated opportunities come with people that are in the rooms that folks are fighting to be inside of. So the opportunities are, they're endless. It's literally endless. And I will say, the relationships that you have, the opportunities that you have to build certain relationships, that's worth more than any accolade, achievement, degree. Like, the people who know you, not who you know, but that will answer their phone when you call, those people, they can do more for you than most things, period. Because if you are who you say that you are, and you're delivering a certain, whatever your service or product or whatever it may be, and you're great at what you do, and you're focused on becoming the best you, and you're focused on developing your product better and better and better, right? As time goes on, or whatever it may be, what starts to happen is, yeah, okay, you might have been introduced because of this person, but what's keeping you in the room is your ability to sustain your character, to sustain that thing that you have, your offer, right? You're creating an incredible customer experience. That's one thing I love about you, Beez. Like, you give out so much like free, good, amazing information. Like, and there's no excuses. It's literally like anybody could do what you're teaching. And I think that the difference is, if someone were to come into a room and be like, Beez, I did exactly what you said to do on your free motivational Monday call you did from Alive, and now I started a business, you might be more apt to do business with this person. So now someone has an opportunity to do business with a multimillionaire just because they believed in themselves enough, right? Believing in themselves enough to put those things in action enough to get the opportunity to say, ooh, I get to work with Beez.
Belief in action. I love it. I love it. Here we go. And then finally, we got to get to the problems, the problems that you see that exist when you don't have the right mindset or in achieving the right mindset. What problems would you say people should look out for?
There's this saying, I don't know if I said it at the beginning or not, but you cannot drift to the top of the mountain, right? You have to intentionally climb. I think I did say that.
Yep.
And the issue is, if you don't decide who you want to be, the world will decide for you. And it's usually not very much, right? The world wants you to be a follower. The world wants you to just take it as it comes. The world doesn't want you to be a critical thinker, doesn't want you to be a challenger, right? Whoever they are. And so the problem is, most people, this is why there's a top 3, 2, and 1% and everybody else. The problem is that most people end up in a life that they're not actually happy with, that they're not actually excited about living, because they didn't put their belief into action, because they wanted to make other people's opinions or judgments happy. Some of us are surrendering our destiny, loving and listening to the wrong people, unaligned people, right? So I think that we give up our future, we give up our joy, we give up our dreams, we give up our life, listening to and honoring people that are not in alignment with what it is that we want. And so I think that our level of belief you got to have a level of selfishness at first, you know. You have to have a level of earmuffs and get around those people that are actually going to speak life into what it is that you see. But that is a major problem in America. And can I just tell you that statistically speaking, number one, 2 out of 3 people have low self-esteem, which means they question their abilities, what they can do. They question themselves. They wonder if it's possible for them, all of the things. So literally 2 out of 3 people struggle with low self-esteem. So if that is the newest person listening here, number one, I want you to know that you're not alone, and it's okay. And it's a muscle that you can work on. The second staggering statistic, Beez, that I saw was 67% of people don't think anyone would mind if they died.
Wow.
If they died. Right. So now that's what I'm saying. That's the problem. The problem is not strategy and action steps. That's after. That's like the seed, the root of it. The problem is worthiness. It's a worthiness question. It's a worthiness issue. And so when we understand that first, when we understand that worthiness is our birthright, it's not something that you have to achieve or earn or look a certain way or dress a certain way. With the day you came onto this planet, you're worthy, period. No question mark, point blank, period. You know, so I think that that's the problem. If you don't decide who you want to be, the world will decide for you. And it's usually not much.
Oh, man. So much to say again. First thing I got to say is, the way that you respond to things defines how your life is.
Yes.
Right? Meaning, there was a time, because it hit me hard. I don't know if you saw, I kind of paused when you mentioned that about how many people wonder if anyone would even care if they died.
Yeah.
There was a time where I felt that way.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the question or the thing that I said to myself.
Yeah.
What I said to myself is, dang, if I died, who would come to my funeral? And I started trying to think about that, like, honestly, and say, I don't really think there's that many people that will come to my funeral. Not because I'm not a nice guy and people don't like me.
Yeah.
I just realized at that point in my life, I haven't had enough impact on others. So I took that feeling that could have led me into depression. And it was I'm not even going to try to act like I know what people who suffer from chronic depression, what they go through. But at the time, to me, it felt like depression. I was like, man, who would come to my funeral? But I took it and said, all right, I want to have more impact in the world. Yes. I want to help people. Yes. Who do I want to impact? How can I impact them? What else can I do? Yes. And that helped me on my journey because I understood my why. And yes, I obtained some financial wealth, but time wealth was what I was really seeking, right? So my decisions started not only focusing on the money, but focusing on what could give me the most time and allow me to have the most impact on the people I wanted to have the most impact on, which for me was the youth, young adults. Because when I was like in college, nobody would tell me anything. I didn't know anything of how to make money or whatever. So I want to make sure I, have impact on the next generation coming up. So that really resonated with me when you said that, because I think we all got to be honest with ourselves. We all go through some sort of depression. We all go through these hard times, but how we react to it, that's the key. Yes.
And I think just touching on that, because there might be someone that's like, but how? Because I'm in that space now. Yeah. I would say, because I've gone through those questions of like, what's it all for? Why am I here? Questioning my purpose, because when we don't know, my whole circle is a very affluent circle, right? Very successful, monetarily wise. And there are people in my circle that are absolutely miserable and make a lot of money. And there are people that are very happy and that make a lot of money. So money doesn't buy you happiness, but it buys you choices, right? Which is great. But I think that it's important for people to know that sometimes you have to make it first to know that it's not everything, right? Yeah. So inside of that, when you meet those people that are truly like, if it's just about the money, if there's not the fulfillment, if there's not the purpose, if there's not the calling, if you don't feel like you're doing what you think you're supposed to be doing on the planet, it doesn't feel good. Period. It doesn't matter how much you're making. There's always going to be a void that you feel like, okay, what do I need to do? So number one, the question is, start asking yourself the questions, whether it be meditating, praying, journaling, yoga, sit on the beach, listen to the waves. If you aren't by water, sit in your backyard, let the wind touch your face, get in the sun, right? Start doing different things to connect back to self. And I think that it's important for people to put themselves into peak state, because again, it comes back to, we don't attract what we want. We attract what we feel, like whatever we feel strongest. And most people feel like they hate their day. They hate their job. They can't stand their kids. They're sick and tired. They're this, they're that, all of those different things. And so you have to intentionally feel good so that you can intentionally attract and become and pull yourself out of that negative vibration. So for me, what that looks like, when I wake up in the morning, I do this thing where when I'm sleeping, I don't wake up to an alarm. I wake up when I wake up. And when I'm sleeping, I open my eyes and I'm like, another day. Thank you, God. That's literally my thing. Like, oh, we did this. We got another. And immediately I close my eyes, and I might be aging myself. Who cares? But if y'all remember Sonic, right? Sonic the Hedgehog, he had those rings, right? So if you could imagine like a spinning, firing halo, it's like closed on the top of my head. And I literally, like, over my entire body have this halo go all the way around my body. And I send it love, and I send it healing, and I send it peace, and I send it prosperity. And I send all of these in my mind. I'm just like, ooh, any aches and pains, I'm like, I'm healed, all of these different things. So immediately and I close it around my feet, right? And I'm like, oh, it's going to be a great day. Yes, it's going to be a great day. So immediately I'm putting myself into peak state before my feet touch the ground, before I look at my phone, before I start texting. These are things that I know I need to do so that I can battle the world, right? I'm putting on my armor before I go out to fight for whatever I'm fighting for. My blessing, I'm battling to my blessing, right? And then I go in and I do this thing called morning vision. and I have a Baroque list of music or movie score music without words. And I play the music in the background and I journal for 10 to 15 minutes. I'm so blessed, happy, and grateful and I practice feeling what it is that I want to attract. So the life that I see for me in the future, I'm writing about it like it's happening right now. Like I see, and then I speak it out loud after I just wrote it down and I see it. I literally close my book, I close my eyes and I speak. I do 5-minute rounds. I put a timer on my phone and I talk about, like, I'm trying to explain it to my friend and tell them how beautiful and amazing and all those different things are. I'm not going to let anything jack up my vibration. And then when you get to a space of alignment with who it is that you want to be. And yes, I have other things that I go into in my morning, but because I'm in that state, I don't allow people with a low vibrational frequency or just a bad attitude or negative behavior. Y'all aren't allowed over here because I'm over here trying to shine bright like a diamond and y'all want to be over there and that's okay. You do you. But I know for me, what we think about is what comes about. What we feel about comes stronger, right? So I want to practice getting into peak state as much as I can. I'm going to play gospel music. I'm going to sing at the top of my lungs. If you ever see Beez, if you ever see me, because I don't clean my place, right? I have cleaners. But if you ever catch me cleaning and the music is on full blast and I'm just singing something is going on, that is me getting into peak state, you know?
There we go. There we go. I gotta say, so I was waiting for you to finish because that was gonna be my advice to the audience, right?
Yeah.
Music is amazing.
Yes.
Think about when you had a breakup in high school or something, and then you start playing that and you're making yourself all more depressed. But imagine if you turn it around and you playing, something that's getting you hype. It literally changes your mood. Music is so powerful. That's why when I go on live on Instagram, I got music playing in the background. I'm like, yo, let's go, right? We get hype. Right. Yes. So that is a amazing and powerful way to I'm going to use the word you use, but on the positive, jack up your mood, jack up your vibes. But we really jacking it up in the right direction. Right. So definitely everybody, if you want to know how to, release and how to, when you're meditating, music to me helps, right? Some people prefer quiet. That's cool. But music literally ignites my soul. So,
yeah, me too.
But Sarah, this has been an amazing conversation, but we have to wrap it up. And I have to ask, as I ask every guest that comes on here, I have a challenge.
Okay.
This challenge is called the $1 Trillion Table Challenge. Okay. Right? The $1 Trillion Table, by the end of this decade, I want to sit in a room with other people that look like me. And we have $1 trillion of assets under management.
Yeah.
Right? That doesn't mean $1 trillion cash in my pocket. It just means I have assets under management, businesses, real estate, investment portfolios, right? And we can it is entirely possible to make this happen.
Yes.
Right? Will you be at this table?
Without a doubt.
There we go. See, I'd be forcing people to say yes because I'm saying, will you be? I would be taken aback if somebody said, nah, I don't think so.
Wait, what? Wow, where? What? No. That's my answer, without a doubt.
There we go. I'm looking forward to seeing you at this table. And one of the ways to get there that I say to people is you gotta buy businesses. I buy businesses. Here we go. And if you ever were scared on how you can buy a business because you feel, you got to be a rich investor, that is not true. You can buy a business with no credit. You can buy a business with no cash coming out of your pocket. It's called an LBO, leverage buyout. And everyone in our community, everyone that wants a better life, regardless of what race or community you're in, should be buying businesses. So Sarah, will you be buying businesses?
Yes.
There we go. There we go. So I got your back. You got me in your corner. I'll help you. You're going to buy some businesses. $1 trillion table. Let's go. Sarah, thank you so much for coming on to Entrepreneurship Exposed. You help us to really expose the entrepreneur mindset in general, because belief in action is an amazing thing to see for sure. Tell the people how they can find you.
Oh, yes. You can find me on Instagram. It's written right here, Ms. Sarah Fontenot, MSSarahFontenot. So it looks like Ms. Sarah Fontenot, but it's Fontenot, Creole name. And yes. And you can find all of my handles. I do have an ultimate self-love guide. If you guys are really like, how do I get out of my own way? There is an ultimate self-love guide. It's the first link in my bio. And a lot of really cool, awesome, like free stuff too. So check it out. Check me out. That's where I'm at. And I'm Ms. Sarah Fontenot on all platforms. So
awesome. And we'll get that link for the self-love guide, and we'll put it in the description of this video and on the podcast and everything, so you guys can reach Sarah for sure. Sarah, thank you again. It's been a pleasure. I always have such great conversations with you. I love it. Matter of fact, before we leave, since you already know a little secrets about me with the physics and all that stuff, have you ever heard of something called the LHC, the Large Hadron Collider?
No.
Okay, well, I figure why not mention this really quick, but there's this thing, it's a particle collider that, where is it? It's in Switzerland, I think. And it's like underground, and it's like miles long, and they run particles through it to make them smash to try to recreate events like the Big Bang of the creation of the universe. And people are afraid that it's going to open up portals to another dimension or create a black hole and all these type of things. They first ran it almost a decade ago. But the reason I'm mentioning it right now is because they're running another test coming up next week. So
this is on Netflix.
There's been shows that put it in it for sure. There was a book, Dan Brown's Angels and Demons, that book, and which also became a movie. They had it in there, I think. Maybe not Angels, one of his books. But yeah, you'll see it on Netflix and different things. But there's going to be a test run on next week, Tuesday. And everybody was saying that we should get our energies right. You know, when people talk about the retrograde something and other. So get your energies right and whatnot, because when they run this test, I think we'll all feel it in some way, because, you know, energy is connected.
Yeah.
But anyway, I know I'm going off on a tangent. I just wanted to mention it because it's coming up real soon and whatnot. And I know you could appreciate me
I definitely can. Energy for sure. You know what else is coming up?
What's that?
My birthday on Saturday.
This Saturday?
Yeah.
Oh, let's go. Happy birthday from now. out to Miss Sarah Fontenot. Hey, I hope you have an amazing birthday. Thank you again for coming on here. You're an amazing person, amazing energy, and everybody definitely reach out and connect with Miss Sarah Fontenot.
Thank you so much, Beez. Again, thank you for the opportunity. It's been an honor and a privilege, and I'm so grateful. Love what you're doing, and thank you, because you're one of my mentors too. I'm learning.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, everybody. I'll see you on the next episode of Entrepreneurship Xposed with your guy Beez. And you may see Sarah on here again soon. You never know. Let's go. Take care, everybody.